Hi everyone, good evening. Yesterday in the last session that we have covered till correlation in perspective of the terminologies. So today here we will be starting from there itself and covering some more terminologies that is related to data analytics and eventually we'll move ahead. Okay. So let me first present my screen so that things are visible to you and by that we can start with it. Hopefully my screen is visible. So in the last session, we have completed till correlation. So from here, we will be starting over. The third terminology that is most common and more frequently we will be needing that is mean, median, and mode. Okay, so these are the basic statistics. Okay, so what does exactly mean? Mean is exactly the average. Mean is average. Okay, so hopefully the screen is visible. Let me just zoom it out a bit for you to understand it better. Okay, just a moment. Yes. So mean is actually the average. Okay, let's take some example for easy understanding of it. Okay, let's suppose the marks of a student in the subject that is 80, 90 and 100, right? So now I'll be doing the mean that is the sum of all, like 80 plus 90 plus 100, sorry, 100, that would be divided by 3. So this is the operation, that is the function of mean. So after doing all of it, so my result would be 90, right? So this is the value of mean. Mean is exactly the average. Now coming down to the median. Median means the middle number when sorted accordingly. Okay, so it is median. So if median, that is the middle number. Okay, let's check some of the numbers like 30, 20 and 10. Okay, but not sorted accordingly. So we will be sorting that in a ascending order. So since it is three, so three numbers, so there is no major difference, but majorly we need to sort that accordingly. Okay, so we have sort that accordingly. And like let's take it a bit different here, so it is easily understandable. So let's just change the position of this to this. Next, after sorting, we got this. Now, after sorting, we have to take the middle value. Like, what is the middle value here? That is 20, right? So, 20 would be the median. Now, if the value is like, if here the value is 30, 10, 40, and 20, in that case, first we need to sort it 10, 20, 30, and 40. So there are four numbers, right? So since there are four numbers, the two numbers are coming in the middle, that is 20 and 30. So we will be taking the average of it. Okay. So we will be taking the average of it, that is 20 plus 30, that is 50 divided by 2, right? So 50 divided by 2 will be coming up around 25. Right, so this is how we need to do find the median. So this would be the median when we are having the values, three different values, that is 10, 20, 30, and this would be the median when we have the four different values, that is 10, 20, 30, and 40. Okay, so this is all about the mean and median. Now coming down to mode. Mode is the most repeated number. What is mode? Repeated number. Okay, so suppose we have the example set, that is 5, comma 7, comma 7, comma 8, right? So here, if we are checking, so here we are seeing that 5, it has came around for one time, right? 7 came around for two times, and 8 came around for one time, right? So now comparing all these counts of each of the number, we are getting that 7 is repeated for twice, right? So my mode value would be 7. Okay, so this is how we need to calculate the mean, median, and mode. Now we have the standard deviation that we need to calculate. Standard deviation. Okay, so what is standard deviation? So standard deviation tells like the means, like it actually means like how spread out my numbers are. Okay, so now let's check it accordingly. If my marks are around like in the range of around 90, 91, 92, right? Now here you can see the numbers are not that spread. Like it is confined to a single zone, like 90, 91, 92, not that well spread. So the spreading is low here, low spread, right? So we call so the standard deviation for this value will be of low standard deviation we will be getting here. Now, if the value is more spread out, like if the value is around 20, 50, 100, this is the variations I am getting in the numbers. So it is like a higher standard deviation it will be showing. Okay. So this is all about standard deviation. Now coming down to outlier. What is outlier? So if an outlier is specifically a value that is actually very different from the remaining or the rest of the value that we are considering. Okay. Now suppose I have got the scores. Okay. So the scores are like suppose 85, 90. Then I have, suppose 88. Another is around 92. And I have the number as around 2. Okay. So here you can see the numbers or the scores of the students that is 85, 90, 88, 92. Majority of the scores are coming like this. But this two, this is very like lesser than them and it is of single digits, but others are of two digits, right? But this two is not matching with the trend that the other are following, right? So this two is would be called as an outlier. So two here is the outlier. Okay. So what outlier can be? It can be a mistake. By mistake, they have written it like suppose the number should be around 82 or 92, but mistakenly just put it as 2, or any of the very rare event that has occurred, like only one student who couldn't get the pass marks also just got only 2 marks, so that is the case. So either we need to validate that and identify whether that is a clear-cut event. If not, then it is a mistake. That would be easily combined that that is a mistake, right? So that is actually considered as an outlier. Outlier is like the value that is different from the rest of the value that we are considering. So when we are seeing all this value, these values have a proper trend and they are coming from the same genre, right? But two, this is a way different from this. So this is called as an outlier. Next, coming down to the categorical data. Categorical data. So categorical data means the data that are of words or categories specifically. So categories are like two different categories. The categories of gender, like male or female. It can be of any of the specific color like red, blue, green. Right. So these are the different colors, different or any of the specific cities like Mumbai, like Delhi, like Kolkata, like different kind of cities. So we are having some of the columns when we are seeing down in the data set, some of the columns contain this kind of fields, right? So this kind of fields like gender-based field, color-based fields, cities we can get. So these are actually categorical data. So the data that are of a specific category or that are of words specifically that actually meaning something, that is called as the categorical data. Okay. Now is the numerical data. What is numerical data? So the data that is made of numbers, like the age, height, salary, marks. These are the fields where we can only include numbers. There we can't include the text data or any word specifications up there, right? So they are like legitimately made to work with numerical data only. Like your age can't be represented with a text, right? Until and unless you are writing the number in in words. Like if your age is 20, you are writing it in 20 either in number or in word. If you are writing in the 20 in word, that is other game, but basically the age can't be any text, right? Any possible text can't be, right? So that is actually we are calling it as a numerical data. So the fields that can be covered as age, height, next salary, next is marks, this kind of fields. Okay. Now, in numerical data, we have two columns. There should be the integer or the float. Integers, what are integers? Integers are the whole numbers. They are the whole numbers. And we have inside numerical data, we have the decimal numbers that are the floats. Floats, floats, that is the decimals. Okay. So these are in the numerical data. There is two division: integer-based numerical data and float. That is integer like the whole numbers and floats are the decimals. Next is time series data. What is this time series data? So the data collected over time in order, right? In order in the sense like the daily temperature, the daily stock price that we are getting, every morning you are calculating your weight, body weight that you are actually taking account, or monthly rainfall amount that you are getting. So that is a time series data. So the data that is collected over a time in a specific order, that is called as the time series data. So the examples that I have given is like stock price, next like the rainfall, monthly rainfall. Next is the daily temperature. So these are the fields that we can cover up using this time series data. Next, after that, we have training data versus test data. Okay, so what is this training data and the test data? So while we are working with machine learning, there is two terminologies that is very important, that is training data and the testing data. Training data is the data that we use to teach our model, that is called the training, and the test data, the data that we keep separately to check the performance of the model, if the model has learned correctly or not, that is coming under test data. Okay. So next we have the terminology that is query. So what is this query? So it is like asking a question that is asked basically. So your query is very commonly combined with SQL, right? If you are asking any query to the database, basically, so like you are asking a specific question in return, your SQL server will give a proper reply, right? So if based on that, we are asking a question to the database that is called as query. Next, what is this database? So database is like a big and a organized place, like where we are actually keeping our data secured and stored for a longer period of time. Okay, so this database is like a area or a place in where we are organizing the data and keeping that data safely secured, safe and secured for longer period of time, right? So in major of the organization, we have this database where the details of the employee, the sales data, the purchasing data, everything is been maintained accordingly. The customer data, everything, not only organizations like schools, colleges, they also maintain a proper database. Okay, so that is database for you. Next, there is a term that is A/B testing. What is A/B testing? Like when two versions to see which, like when we are actually seeing like two versions, like checking two versions to see like which version is actually better for us, right? So we are having the two comparison side by side, and we are seeing both of them together, and by that we are comparing like which one is actually better. Okay, so you make suppose two different posters you have made, right? One with a lighter background, one with a darker background. So you have both the posters side by side to observe and compare like which one is actually doing the best and which are actually looking best and which poster is liked by most of the people, right? So that is actually A/B testing. Next, coming down, we have this unstructured data. So what is unstructured data? Data that is actually messy and not in a table format. That is called an unstructured data. So what can be the example of unstructured data like the images, videos, audio? These are coming under unstructured data. The data that is actually messy, not organized actually, and not in a proper form, and also not maintaining the table form. So that is coming under unstructured data. Next is big data. So what is big data? So data that is huge, like too large for a normal desktop or computer to work, right? So that is actually big data, like the YouTube videos we can call, the Amazon sales record, next this Google searches, all of this, right? So these are all the big data. Next, coming down, we have this ETL. What is ETL? ETL is extract, transform, and load. E is for extraction, E is for extract. So what is extract? So we have want to have the data from different sources. It's not like that every time we will be using the Excel based data, like we will be use the either Excel SX format or we will be using the CSV format. We can use data from different sources. Like we can use the data directly from the website with the help of this API. We can get the data. We can get the data directly from the database. We can get the data directly from the like Excel or Google Sheet or any of the other kind of data, any of the platform. We can get the data accordingly. Also, we can get the data that is written in a manual way, right? So that is the data. So that when we are getting the data from different sources and putting all together, that is extract, like taking data from sources, like different sources specifically. Next we have T. T is for transform. Transform is to clean and clear the data before we are doing any of the operation over the data, right? So we need to clean and pre-process the data. So transform. So that is transforming the data, right? Next is load. L is for load. What is load? Load is to put the data, all of the data that we have extracted, transformed. Then we have to that now the data after transformation, the data is cleaned, right? So I need to put all of this data in a single place. Either I can merge all of the data in a single CSV file, or either I can upload all of this data in a data warehouse to get the access accordingly. So this is accordingly called as the load. Load is to put it into the database or any of the secured place from where we can take the data and use it based on our requirement. Okay. So it's like putting the data somewhere in a secured form. So somewhere means either to database or data warehouse. These are the place where we can take it. So exactly, it's like you have the data that you are copying down from a notebook, correcting it and storing it down in the computer. The same thing, but here the extraction can be happen from different places from different kind of data you can get. That data you are taking, then you are transforming the data, that is you are doing all of the necessary like cleaning and the pre-processing that needs to be done over the data that you are doing, and then you are just loading the data. Okay. So next is KPI, that is key performance indicator. Okay, what is KPI? It is key performance indicator. Okay, so why that is important? So suppose we are preparing a dashboard. There, what is the exact number of sales? What is the average number of orders that we have got? What is the average profit that we have got over the months, right? So that is actually the major point. So what is exactly this KPI? It are actually the important numbers used to judge something. Like if I am getting what is the maximum amount of sales that has happened, like the what is the number of sales that we are getting. So by the number of sales, we can judge if my sales are going good over the months or not, right? So based on the number of like the student, for student, a very like easy example is of the student with the marks, right? We are getting the marks of the students like as a KPI. Now we are checking the marks of the students, and by checking this number, we are able to get if the student is performing good or not good. Okay. Next, what is dashboard? Okay, so dashboard is like a computer screen, is a screen that actually shows important charts, characters, numbers, basically having everything at one place so that we can understand everything accordingly. So that is a dashboard. Okay, next coming down to data pipeline. So what is data pipeline? So it is the path that the data is actually following. So basically the data for data visualization, for data analysis, the path what data is going through, that is actually data pipeline. So the path that the data actually follows. So for data analysis, we first collect the data, then clean the data, then analyze the data, then store the data, and then visualize the data, right? So that is the data pipeline for data visualization, for data analysis, actually, not visualization, data analysis. Next, what is trend? Trend, that is the pattern over a specific period of time. Trend over a time is called, like the pattern over a time is called the trend. Okay. What is the pattern the data is following over a period of time? That is called trend. Okay. Next, coming down, we have dimension. So, what is dimension? It is the category or the field used to slice the data, right? We have to slice the data. So, it is a specific category or a field that we are actually used to slice the data. Like we have the sales, right? We have the sales by month, by product, by suppose any of the states. So, that are exactly as the dimensions. These are the dimensions. Okay, so as I mentioned, that is sales by. So what is sales by? That is month. We can have the state. We can have city also. We can have the specific product, right? So these are actually the dimensions. Okay. Next we have the insight. What are insight? You insight are useful discoveries or useful findings. Okay, so that is called the insight. So if like based on the data, I have learned the data, I have just pre-processed the data, then I have just visualized the data. From visualization I got one insight. What would be my insight? Like the student, I have my data, that is the hours that students are studying. Based on that, the marks they have improved, like the pass or fail category. So, and also with the marks, the improvement of marks, these three fields I am having in my data. Now, once I have just visualized the data, then I have an insight. What is the insight? The students who are actually studying 1 hour daily on a daily basis without discontinuing a single day, they are actually scoring around 15 to 20% better than the rest who are actually not continuous or not regular to the studies. Okay, so this is a like useful insight that we have got from the visualization. So this is about insight. Next is anomaly. What is anomaly? Anomaly is a weird or unexpected value. Like suppose the data are going good, like based on, suppose I am talking about the sales data, right? The sales data are going over very good over the year, but suddenly us in a specific month or a specific quarter of a month, there is a sudden drop in the sales out of nowhere. Okay, so that is called an anomaly. Okay, so there is anything that is weird or literally not expected, the value that we are getting, that is called as an anomaly. Okay. Next, we have this data mining. What is data mining? So we are digging into a lot of data to find the useful pattern. So finding that, like anything, like finding very useful, for finding any of the useful pattern, we are going into deep, and we are digging down the data to and going down deep to find out the useful pattern. That is called as data mining. Suppose we want to find, like, suppose there is a store that is situated beside a toy shop. Okay, so that is a grocery shop. Grocery shop. So any of the children who are coming down to the toy shop is most likely to visit to the grocery shop. And there is a very common trend that the children who are going down and buying chips, they are also likely to buy the cold drink along with the chips. Okay, so for finding this insight, we need to go deep down with the data and analyze each and everything to find this connection that a, a child who is going down to the toy shop, that child is also have a likely chance of visiting to the grocery shop for buying chips with the cold drink. Okay, so that is data mining. Now, what is data transformation? Another thing, that is data transformation, or we call it as a data wrangling. Data wrangling is another word for data cleaning or reshaping. Same go down for data transformation, that is changing the what is data transformation. Data wrangling is like cleaning and reshaping the data. Now, data transformation, it's like cleaning the data format or the structure. Like suppose we have the text format, so we are converting text to numbers. Next, we have suppose any of the things like the weight of someone in kg. So in gram actually. Now we are converting that to kg, right? So any of the length we have in centimeter or height we are having in centimeter, we are converting that to meters. So that is basically data transformation. Okay. Next is normalization. Okay, before that we have did done data wrangling, and finally we have normalization. So what is normalization? So it's like making all the number in a like in a similar scale, right? So once you have the data set, suppose you have the height and the weight, right? So you are having the height, suppose the height in centimeter, and that is ranging from around 100 to 150 centimeters. Also, you have the weight that is basically coming like that is in kg, and that is coming from 40 to 80. Okay, in this range, we are getting the weight. So they are having the different levels, right? So weight is in the range of 40 to 80, height is 100 to 150. Though there's like the parameters by which they are judging, like centimeter, and the measurement form is different, centimeter and kg, then also the range are different, right? So we need to bring both in a similar range so that my model can understand it, right? So that is called normalization or scaling. Next, we have metadata. So what is metadata? That is data about the data, right? Suppose you have a photo. So you have the information related to the photo, right? The photo is itself a data, right? Now the data about the photo, that is when, at which date the photo has been clicked, in which location, what is the camera mode, what is the timing. So that information is called the metadata. So what is metadata? Metadata is data about data. Okay, so here comes all of the basics and important terminologies that we will be requiring while understanding and learning about data analytics. Okay, let's move into the types of data. Okay, so types of data. So basically, there are two big categories of data. The very first one is qualitative data that we have already discussed, and the quantitative data. So we will be discussing it in a better form so that it is easily understandable and we can cover the major part of it. Okay, so let's take it accordingly. The very first thing is like two big categories of data. So the very first one is qualitative data, that is the data related to words, labels, and categories. These are called qualitative data. Next, we have this quantitative data. Okay. So we will be discussing one by one. Okay. So qualitative data. So this data is also called as the categorical data. As we discussed in the terminology, that is data that are not numbers, the data that are text. So they are called the qualitative data. Qualitative data that is also called the categorical data. Okay, so this data is not actually numbers. So this actually tells the qualities, the names, the types, the categories, or the labels. Okay, so you can think of the things that cannot be counted with numbers, but you can describe them in words, right? So the colors of the fruits, they are coming down in the qualitative data. Next, the type of the crops like the wheat, rice, corn, gender like male, female, yes, no, kind of answer, like favorite games like football, cricket, chess, all of this, right? So these are all about qualitative data. So why do we need this qualitative data, right? So this is the very initial and the very important question. So it helps us actually to understand the groups, the categories, and the labels in data. Okay, so this qualitative data actually helps us to understand the groups, the categories that are there inside the data set, and also the labels that are present inside the data. So that it actually helps us to understand. So inside qualitative data, there are some of the divisions. The very first one is nominal data. What is this nominal data? So nominal data is like the data with names or labels, with names and labels, like names or labels. Okay. So there is no specific ranking, no order. All categories are equal in case of nominal data. Like suppose the example can be of blood group. Okay, so what are the different type of blood group like B, AB, O, like so all of this are the different types of blood groups. So they are actually defining the labels or the names. There is no specific ranking or order like blood group A is good, blood group B is not good, blood group O is good. This kind of things are not there, right? So there is no proper ranking or order, so all categories are actually equal. Okay. So blood group, we have given the example. Next, we have suppose the eye color. So eye color would be brown, blue, black. So these are the common colors that we can see over. This is a type of data that is nominal data. Next is the ordinal data. So what is ordinal data? The data with label but with a sense of order or ranking, that is called as the ordinal data. Okay, so such as we have an idea about the movie rating. Okay, but this needs to be clarified that this ordinal data, they are still not numbers. They have some of the labels, they have some of the sense of ranking, but then also they are not numbers. Okay, so movie ratings, right? Movie ratings, we have this one, the rating how we are getting. We have got 1 star for below average movie. We have got 2 stars, accordingly 3 stars, and 4 stars, like that, right? So this is all about like this ordinal data. Next, we have this educational levels. like school, college, and university. They are the names, right? They are names. They are not the numbers. But eventually, everyone knows. At the age till 18, people used to study in a school, 17, 18 of age. After that, they move into college. Then after that, they move into university, right? So this is the chronology that we follow. Also about the taste, like it's bad, it's average, it's good, it's excellent, it's outstanding. These are the form. Also the gradings, like A, B, C, gradings in the score. That comes under this ordinal data. This is all about this qualitative data. Qualitative data has two forms, that is nominal data and the ordinal data. Now we will be discussing about quantitative data. What is this quantitative data? Quantitative data is like the numbers data or the numerical data. So this data contains number. Okay, so you can count it, you can measure it, you can do all of the specific calculation, mathematical calculation over it, like the height, what is the specific height, that is 170 centimeter, what is the specific weight, around suppose 50, 55 kgs, what is the temperature today, that is around suppose 20 to 18 degrees centigrade. So next, what is the marks person has like received or got in the exam, that is around suppose 85. So these are the quantitative data. So this data actually the numerical data or the numbers that we are getting. Now they are again divided. So the very first division inside quantitative data, that is discrete data. What is discrete data? So the numbers that you can count, they are the whole numbers only. Okay. So there is no specific decimal or fraction that are considered. Suppose the number of fruits, the number of cards, like what in which class the students actually studies. So what? How many number of ships are there in the dockyard? So these are actually the example of this discrete data. So discrete data are the numbers that we can count. They are the whole numbers, not the fractions or the decimals that we can consider over. Okay. So anything that we are in, like anything. Suppose when we are calling, like what are the numbers? Can you count the numbers of cows in the field? So anyone is telling around 12 cows, okay? But you can't tell it as there are 12.5 cows, right? So they are, that is not possible. There can be 12 cows only, right? So, so discrete is the countable items. Whatever be the countable items or the values that we are getting, that are coming under discrete. Next is the continuous data. Discrete data and continuous data. Continuous data is the numbers that we can measure. So that can be the decimal value also. It not be like not countable, but it is measurable. Okay. So about the height, right? What is the height? My height is suppose 157.5 centimeter, right? So that is my height. So I can understand that I can measure my height, but I can't count my height, right? So that is the height. Next is the temperature. Temperature is around 36.7 degrees centigrade. Next, what is the distance? Distance is 3.18 kilometer. Time, what is the time? That is 4 hours, 20 minutes, or 4.55 seconds, we can call it. Like that, we can just give a proper reference. So, continuous is equal to measurements and can be of any value, right? So, that is coming down to continuous data. So this is all about the different types of data. So let's just recapitulate it. So we have this quantitative data and qualitative data. Quantitative data are the categorical data. Qualitative data are the categorical data. Inside qualitative data, we have this nominal data and the ordinal data. Nominal data, that is the names or the labels that has no ranking or no top three, top four type of things are involved. And ordinal data, that is also the categorical data or the text based data, but that have a bit sense of ranking to it. Next is quantitative data that contains discrete numbers and the continuous data. Discrete are the countable numbers, not the things that can be countable, that are discrete. Continuous, the things that are measurable, that are continuous. That is continuous. Next, we have in another way, or in bonus, we can call it a different way. So we have another form, that is the primary data, the secondary data. Okay. So what is this primary data? So primary data is the data that we are collecting by ourselves. Okay. So the data that we are collecting by ourselves. So that is called the primary data. What is secondary data? Like what is the example of primary data? Like the survey, like we want to do a proper survey, so we are creating Google form and we are sharing all over, right? So people are filling the Google form, sharing their updates, and based on that, we are collecting the data like that. So next is the crop image that we are taking for feeding to my model as in data. Next, there is the interviews that we are recording. That is also the primary data. So the data that we are collecting by ourselves. So that is the primary data. Secondary data. So the data already collected by someone else, but we are using them. So that is the secondary data. So the data that has been collected by someone else, but we can use that data like government data sets, next Kaggle data sets, then research paper, historical rainfall data. All of this are the data that someone else has done, but for our model, our project, we can use this, right? So that is the secondary data. So this is all about the types of data. Majorly, we will be focusing on here is the qualitative and quantitative data and the primary and the secondary data. Okay. Next, we have the level of measurement that we need to understand. What is this level of measurement? What is this level of measurement? So suppose imagine you have different type of data, but how do you know that, right? So that is a part, like what math you can do on the data to get it, whether you can sort the data or not, whether you can measure the difference between the data, whether you can find the average. To answer all of the questions, you use the level of measurements, right? So there are basically four levels of measurement. So the very first one is the nominal. Next is the ordinal. The third one, that is interval. The fourth one, that is ratio. These are the labels of measurement. Okay. So now we have this nominal level. So nominal levels like the names only, right? What are this nominal? So let's take it one by one. Nominal levels, that is names only. Okay, so the simplest level, like the data is only the names, the labels, the categories, that one. The one that we have discussed, the same thing is the nominal one, like the gender, that is male, female, type of crops, blood group, this are all into nominal one. But they doesn't have, they are the categorical terms, but they do not have any ranking or anything involved in it. So you cannot sort the nominal data, right? You cannot get one category that is bigger, one category that is better. You can't do some of the normal mathematical terms inside this kind of data, right? So nominal is equal to the naming data, right? The one that we have discussed inside here, inside this qualitative data, this is same as here. That is this nominal levels. Next is the ordinal level. So ordinal level is, it is still the categorical based data, like the word based data, but there is a sense of or have a specific order or ranking that is involved. Okay, so the difference between the ranks is not measured actually. The difference between the ranks that we will be getting, that we can't measure, right? About if we are having the idea about size of the t-shirt, right? Small, medium, large. So we can understand that small is a bit smaller, medium is in the medium, and large is the larger. So we can't get the exact difference in the number between them. Like we cannot calculate the difference, right? As we used to do. That we can't do, but there is a bit sense of this order and ranking. So you can rank the ordinal data, but the difference between the rank is not equal also. Okay. So the difference between good and excellent, it's not it's of course not equal to the difference between bad and okay, right? So this ordinal data is the order exists, but not exact difference, right? So that is the exact thing about ordinal. So there is a limited mass, there is, you can't do any of the addition subtraction over this kind of data. So that is the ordinal data. Next is the interval data. Interval level, sorry. That is the interval level. Ordinal level, then is the interval level. Interval level, like the numbers with equal gap, but no true zero value we will be getting. Okay, so that is now you have got the real numbers, the difference between each of them you will be getting, and they are meaningful also. Then equal intervals, like that is equal gaps between it. So there is no true zero, and here, like the zero, if we are getting zero up here, that doesn't mean nothing. Okay. So if we are getting the temperature between 20 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade. So the difference is 10 degree, that is the difference, right? Next, coming down to 10 degrees centigrade to 20 degrees centigrade. Then also the difference is 10 degree only. So the difference is equal, but 0 degree centigrade is not equal to like no temperature, right? 0 degree is the freezing point, as you know, right? Coming down to the years specifically, the calendar years, 2000 to 2001, 2001 to 2002. The difference actually matters, but the year, if the year is telling zero, that doesn't mean that it is there is no time like that. You can't tell, right? Along that, you have this IQ scores. There can be the equal gaps, but if someone's IQ is zero, that is not true, right? So that is exactly about the interval levels. Next, coming down to the ratio level. So what is ratio level? So the number with equal gaps has a true zero sense meaning. you can also do some of the basic calculation over there, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and also meaningful, like in that form, if you are thinking, that is also meaningful, right? So if the weight is 0 kg, that exactly means here in the ratio level that there is no weight. If the distance is 0 km, then the distance is actually there is no distance. Okay, so you can actually say something like 10 kg is twice as heavy as 5 kg. That will make a sense up here. You can compare properly because 0 means nothing here. Okay, so the ratio is equal to the interval plus 2 0 true zero value plus all of the math works. Okay, so if I need to tell about ratio level, so ratio is equal to interval plus true zero plus the calculation, mathematical calculation. Okay, so this is all about the levels of measurements. Now coming down to the order, like for them in the nominal, this is let's like just simply sort it down in a like just one like in a easy manner. Just want to recapitulate everything. That is the nominal data, that is the data type is categorical, there is no specific order, there is no equal difference, there is true zero value, that is there is no true zero value up here. Coming down to ordinal, this is a ordered categories, like there is a slight sense of order and category in the ordinal level, so that has a specific order, but the equal difference, that we can't calculate, the mathematical operations can't be calculated, and there is no equal difference that we can calculate over true zero. Yes, of course, there is no true zero, and also it is rating based, like the good, excellent, good is lesser than excellent, that we exactly know. But we cannot have this equal difference as we get in terms of numbers. Now, next coming down to this interval level is a numeric data type. There is a specific order that it has. There is equal differences that we can get, but there the true zero value is not there. Like temperature, the year, this are the examples. Next is ratio. Ratio is like the numerical one. It has a specific order, equal difference it shows. Next, the true zero is yes, there is a true zero sense. Next, the examples are like weight, height, price, all of this. So nominal is only names, like organizing crayons by color, like red, blue, green, like that. Next is the ordinal. Ordinal is order but no distance, like linking student with height but not measuring it exactly comes in the ordinal. Next is interval, that is equal spaces, no real zero, like the temperature scale and all. Next is the ratio, that is, it is the full power numbers, that is like it is measuring exact height, weight, money, etc. So ratio is interval plus true zero plus all of the mathematical calculation. So nominal is basic, ordinal is a bit better, interval is advanced way of it, and ratio wise it is the most powerful one. Okay. So this is all about the levels of measurement. Next, coming down the type of variables. So first we need to discuss what are variables. Okay. So what are variables? So you are like, suppose you are imagining that you are doing your final week, like final project, right? So you want to collect informations like based on the scenario, you need to get some of the data related to the student, right? So you will be getting some of the information like student age, student height, their favorite color, their exam marks, like this. These are actually changing the piece of information and call it variables, right? So variables is anything that can be changed or varied, right? They are called the variables. What are variables? Variables, that is, uh, we can call it anything that can change or vary. They are called variables. So there are different types of variables like independent variable, dependent variable, categorical variable, numerical variable, discrete variable, continuous variable, binary variable, qualitative and quantitative variable. Okay, so one by one we will be discussing them. So first we have this independent variable. So we have this independent variable. So you can imagine that you have mixed the fruit juice with different amount and like different amount of sugars and check how sweet they have become, right? So the amount of sugar is the independent variable here. Why? Because this is the thing you are changing when you are putting the sugar on different juice mix, right? So it is actually the cause and it is actually the input that is actually changing it accordingly. So you are actually the this is the thing, like this sugar is the thing, this is actually changing over the time, that is actually causing the sweetness level difference in the sweetness level in different fruit juice mix. That is actually the independent variable. Okay, so for an easy example we can think about, like, in a plant experiment, the amount of sunlight that the plant is absorbing, that is the independent variable. Next, like suppose you are studying, like the hours that you are studying, that is a independent variable. Okay, so the independent variable is the one that I can control it, right? So the one that you can control it or I can control it, that is the independent variable. Next is the dependent variable. What is this dependent variable? That is the effect or the output. Independent variable is the input. What is this? This is the input. But dependent variable, this is actually the output. Okay. So this is what changes. Like dependent variable, this is what changes because of the independent variable. So the sweetness of the juice, that is actually the dependent variable, because that sweetness is totally dependent on the amount of sugar that you are adding in this fruit mix, fruit juice mix, right? So it depends on what you are actually changing. It is actually the effect, or we call it as the output. Okay, so similarly, as we have given the example, like in the plant experiment, the amount of sunlight that the plant is absorbing, that is the independent variable. Similarly here, the growth the plant is showing, that is the dependent variable. So the growth of the plant is dependent on the amount of sunlight that it is absorbing. Okay, so this is all about the dependent and the independent variable. Next, we have this categorical variable. So what is this categorical variable? So these are the variables that describes the labels or the groups, not the numbers, as we know about the categories like red, blue, green. These are the colors. Next, any of the crop type, any of the like gender, like male, female, blood group. These are the categorical data. So categorical is equal to the name of the groups, right? So they are the categorical variables. Similarly, the variables that are the values of the variables that are numbers. So these are the variables that you can measure or count. So they are called the numerical variables. Next, we have this discrete variables. So the countable numbers or the whole numbers only are called the discrete variables. That is the countable numbers or the whole numbers are called the discrete variables. Like the one that you can count them. They are not the decimal or the fractions. They are the whole numbers. So they are the discrete variables. Next, we have the continuous variables, that is the measured value, like the decimal points, the one that we can measure. The value with the decimal points are called the continuous values, like continuous variables actually, like the height, weight, temperature. Like the height is 52.6 centimeter, weight is around 45.8 kgs, temperature is 21.5 degrees centigrade. These are all continuous variables. Continuous, that is measurement values. So that can have the decimal values as well. That is the continuous variable. Okay. Next, we have the binary variables. So what are these binary variables? This is a special category of variables with just two options like yes, no, male, female, pass, fail, true, false. So binary is like only two choices. These are the binary variables. Okay. Next is the qualitative versus quantitative variables. Quality is like qualitative is equal to quality. That is describing the categories. They are not the numbers. These are the qualitative and the quantitative. That is the numbers that describes the numbers that we can measure. That are the qualitative variables. That is quantitative. One is the qualitative variable. So qualitative variable are the ones that is totally incorporated with the quality that describes is exactly the qualities, not the numbers, like the categories, like the gender, color, types. These are the qualitative variables. Next is quantitative variables. So these are describing the numbers and can these numbers can be measured. Like anything, the measured quantities we are getting, all also the number based qualities like the whole numbers, and also the measurement numbers like the decimal or the fraction based numbers. They are coming under quantitative variables. Okay, so by this we are done with type of variables also. So we are left with sampling versus population that we need to discuss over. So we have sampling versus population, the data life cycle, role of analytics. These three parts are remaining to work on and to go ahead. So this is our module one. So once we are done with module one, eventually we will be moving down to module two, module three. Likewise, all of the modules we will be covering one by one. So for today, we will be wrapping out our session today here, and we will be connecting in the next session and we'll be completing this module covering this sampling versus population, data life cycle, and the role of analytics in business. And eventually, we'll move ahead with the other modules. Okay. So thank you everyone. Bye. Good night.